Hey there, so today I want to go over the comic numbers for September 2018. Now these are the diamond numbers, and the diamond numbers, well, we're talking about distribution or shipped numbers. We're not actually talking about sales or numbers that end up in the consumer's hand. That is an important distinction too, because when you think about these numbers, well, this is basically putting all of the burden onto the comic shop. The numbers that we're seeing that move in retail, they're not the 80-20 that you expect. It's about 40% to 60% moving instead of that 80%. That means that in comic books, unless you are shrewd as a LCS or another physical locale, you're moving about half of the products that you end up getting in. That is tantamount to killing shops. That's why a lot of stores are moving away from this kind of stuff if they can. Look at, say, physical locales like Books A Million. They have moved away from it because they know that it's failing. We see LCSs, or the local comic shops, they keep dropping unless they're really shrewd. And what I mean by really shrewd is getting in there and knowing exactly how many units to carry and not ordering anything else. That's what Marvel's setup especially is relying on. People going in and buying reboot after reboot after reboot. And when I say they go in and buy it, I mean shipped numbers to LCSs. That kind of stuff, again, if you pick up too much volume, well, that's the way that the cookie crumbles. You know, that's the way that the LCS falls. 50, 2017, over 50 in 2018. So the numbers here are about what we would expect. I mean, when you see that, except we notice that IDW has switched places yet again in the retail setup. We see that we have Marvel at 39.86%, DC at 29.06%, Image at around 10%, that's pretty much their mainstay, and then Dark Horse has taken over the position from IDW. This is the second time we've seen this year, and that's important to note because IDW pretty much had been holding this for years. They were that next spot, but now it's been going back and forth because IDW, they're suffering. Also, they're under new leadership. And I think personally that their leadership is looking for a way to branch out into intellectual property and not stay with this because there's no money in comic books. Now, when looking at the unit share price, you'll notice that the unit market price, rather, you'll notice that that's at 43% for Marvel. You're talking 32.76% for DC. Image comes in at 8.74%. Then we have Dark Horse outdoing IDW yet again, 2.91% versus a 2.84%. Now you have the others listed as well under that. Now the comparative sales statistics, you can map something out if you want to go month to month, but I really don't like going month to month. I don't even like going year to year, month to month. You can go quarter to quarter if you want to as well, but what I really like looking at are year to year. I mean, that's where your true comparative volume comes in and where your true comparative sales. Now for this year, what you need to remember with this is we have set the highest pricing point ever, $4.13 last month, in August. With that, and looking at some of the comics that are holding it, that is how you have this meager 1.25% increase from last year. They have gone out. Top 5 comic books. Number 1 is an $8 comic book. Number 3 is a $10 comic book. Number 4, a $6 comic book. Number 5, another $6 comic book. The baseline for comic books is $4 now. There are no $3 comic books anymore. Just to tell you where things are. That is the game now. They are not giving you a cheaper one. So, of course, they can have this increase, but the volume decrease. Also remember within volume that you see overshipment pop up in that number. So that number could actually be much, much worse. Now, when you get into graphic novels, these numbers, wow, they have actually gone down much further. You can see the negative 4.8%, and that is, of course, money-wise, and then the negative 6.73%. You know, if we look at the comparative numbers last time, they have actually gotten a little bit better with that, but still, it's not very good. You also notice that the comic number has actually, the profit has eked down somewhat. Now, when we look at the overall combined number, you're actually talking about something that is closing in on maybe earning a little bit of profit here when you get down to it. But when you're talking about the volume, you're still down almost 7% still. So off of a year that was considered an utter calamity, they are shipping less and they are still making less combined, and they're eking out a little bit more when you look at comics. But the way they've done that, basically they've increased the price, and they've had milestone for the top 3, reboot when you get into the top 5. Looking at toys has been a lost cause for a while. It's actually a sad place to be. You know, even with having a little bit of pick-me-up within the, say, third quarter here comparatively, it's been a mess. Now, you can see how many comics were shipped this time. You're talking about 99 comics shipped. So you think about how many comics are placed out into the market. And the reason that this kind of stuff is important, I want you to think about how this goes just for comics. And then last month, think about this. Only 24 of the comics listed there sold over 50,000 units out of everyone. When you get down to 121 units from last time, well, you're out of 20,000 units. So the power that you're seeing when you're talking about 477 titles, well, you're only talking about a fraction of them actually managing to move over 20,000 units. That's a mess. When you talk about the mainstay products out there and you look at some of them that aren't moving, well, that is a real mess. Now, looking at the top 10 comics by units shipped, Return of Wolverine, number 1. Of course, a number 1 here. Heroes in Crisis, number 1. Actually clocked into the second place. Doomsday Clock clocked into third place. A Batman title stays in. Of course, Batman Damned, number 1. That actually is a big pull there. You notice how much DC is setting up in here with Batmans and on. Then look at the, like I say, with the number 1s that are set up in here, and you notice that the Fantastic Four is popping up and it's dropping. You can see that it's going to drop out. It went from number 1 to number 8. It'll be out of the top 10 probably by number 3. And you can see Amazing Spider-Man by, again, units shipped popping in here. Now, when we're talking about dollars invoiced, Return of Wolverine, Batman Damned, because of the $6.99 pricing tag pops up in there. Then you can see Doomsday Clock, number 7, Heroes in Crisis, number 1, Thanos Legacy, number 1, a Batman within that, still maintaining. I'm curious if Batman actually broke 100,000 units this time. Spider-Geddon, number 0, and so on. You can see the setup there. The top 10 graphic novels, when you're looking at the pricing and, you know, dollars invoiced and units, Saga actually came in number 1 there. Walking Dead came in number 2. Monstrous, number 3. You can see a little bit of switch up here with Oblivion Song with number 4 on this, but Batman setting up with the dollars invoiced because of the $125 pricing point for the hardcover, and another hardcover coming in at that $125 pricing point, and so on. You can see exactly what moves there. Now, we'll do a little bit more in-depth breakdown as everything moves forward, because we're starting to close in on the end of the year. They're going to have yet another milestone that should kick numbers up yet again. But of course, remember, when you're looking at this stuff, what you're talking about is an industry that is pretty much begging for either reboots or it's begging for milestones. You need those milestones, because if they don't pop up, well, then you've got a problem. Action Comics 1000, the biggest thing this year, 500,000+ units. You've had 5 comic books that are right over 300,000 units. Huge comic books. And yet, even with that, the median sales are so low that you're only making 1.25% more than last year, in one of the worst years that we've seen in a long time. And you accomplish this by not having a pricing point baseline that's anywhere near acceptable. So anyhow, you tell me, when you look at this stuff, what do you see? What exactly do you see within this industry? And do you see anything that's not only not viable, but do you see anything that's healthy here? Because I sure as heck am not noticing it. I would like someone to point it out to me, because I keep hearing people say, hey, on the other side of this conversation, that's a healthy industry. You're just looking at it wrong. You want to see something wrong there. No, I want to see comic books actually succeed. But of course, there are a few factors in that. One of them being professionals. And well, the unpro out there, the people that can look at things and not actually be honest with themselves, that they're creating problems. Well, yeah, they're the same people preaching the gospel that this is some way, somehow healthy, and that those comic shops that are dying over and over again, well, they're somehow not doing so. But anyhow, you tell me what you see here, and you tell me your opinion on this. Thank you. So if you like this kind of content, please consider supporting the channel. How can they support the channel? They hit that like, what is it called?
Liking.
Yeah, liking. Liking is very good. What is that other thing they can do as well?
Subscribe.
Subscribe, that's right. What does subscribing get them?
Cool stuff.
Cool stuff, yeah. Get all cool new videos. Then they can go to the Patreon link. Patreon link has all kinds of stuff too, doesn't it? It has your videos, right? Yeah, like the forest and on. There's also the PayPal link, which allows them to tip. And you like using tips. You buy toys, don't you?
Yes, and that's what I do, to buy toys.
Yeah, you love to buy toys. And then there's also merchandise. Can you say hey there?
Hey there.
That is a hey there shirt. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Now here, too, is the Tug Glug coffee mug. Can you say that?
Tug Glug coffee mug, and that really contacts everything.
It does contact everything. There are also 3 different kinds of coffee cups up there. They can look through them all. Yeah, what? 3? Then there's the detective one. This is H.P. Tugcraft in the wokeness of the damned. Isn't that scary? Look at those coming for him. And we also have this continuing shirt, too. He's like, no. Continuing. Can you say continuing?
Continuing.
That's right.
Why is he like, no?
Because there's so many bad things. But he knows it'll be better, right?
Yeah, if anything, like a ninja or some monsters fight them.
Yeah, that's right. Ninjas, everything else. That's a good idea. But they have to get that shirt to have that, don't they?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Man, I need a shirt.
To say yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Do you want to say yes?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, yes. Though, buy that shirt. Right. Can you say bye now?
Bye.
And tell us what you think.
Good.
All right. Thank you.